Oh, yeah. Halloween night 2023. Time for another episode of the Dancing with Wolves. Tonight's episode 88. This is Halloween. Obviously, tonight fell on Halloween. Started the podcast a little bit later tonight. Wanted to make sure I had some time to give out treats to all the little gremlins that were floating around town. I believe that the children are our best hope, our best future. So the little things that I can do to try and keep that magic going, I do. Coincidentally, the shadow holds secrets, and I always listen. Good evening to my sister Jessica out there in Wisconsin. I know it's cold out there. It got cold. I don't know if you took the cold with you or if you brought the cold with you, but it was great spending the week with you. Had a blast at the Rockin' Oddities Con. Special shout out to my little sister Adriana. She is definitely one cool girl for sure. You did a good job, Mama. And again, I'll be talking throughout the evening about this weekend. Again, still kind of settling out. I was talking with Oracles earlier before the show, and it is difficult for me to make the adjustment sometimes. I'm realizing more and more. So much of my energy has been focused behind as a performer that many times if I'm not on stage with my guitar, I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do almost. So it was a good learning experience, really wild energy, a lot of interesting people, a lot of interesting things. And it's interesting, when we interact with people many times, we don't really recognize the degrees that other people's energy does carry over onto us. It is, as my brother Ed would say, the Contini context. So I've had to really take a deeper look at my own part in things, because it isn't fair just to point the finger at other people and be like, hey, you got to be this, you got to do that. Don't get me wrong. Certain things, obviously, if you're completely off the spectrum, have to be called out. But it's important. And Ed knows what I'm talking about. We have to take responsibility. We have to be accountable for our own shit sometimes. So let me get it out of the way. The thoughts, views, expressions, thoughts, opinions, everything else that goes along with it, language, so forth, is mine and mine alone, and should, unless you choose to, share in it. So, fuck! Oh, you've been waiting for it. I got fucked last night again. I've been using one of the online music services because we have to do the music licensing for the FM show on WRFC. And I thought I had gotten a radio-friendly version of an Avenged Sevenfold track, Nightmare. Except it wasn't the radio-friendly one. It was the radio-unfriendly one. And we got back late yesterday from everything because we had a bit of a drive. And I thought I had it all good. I should have listened to the fucking thing, but I didn't. So I'm playing the block of music for my son and his guys on the third shift. The Avenged Sevenfold's fucking rocking. And then there it was. Your fucking nightmare. And it was my fucking nightmare. Okay? Right there, FM radio, blam. And I cut that shit. Okay? I owned it. I'm like, nope, this is not the track to be. It was too late. So, I owned it. I apologized. There's not a whole lot you can do sometimes. But this is the dilemma that I'm constantly forced with. There's so much great music that I really want to play on the FM show, and I can't because it's got an F-bomb, or, it's got, a little bit of shitty shit, or whatever. And we're fucking running on standards that go back to the 20s. It's absolute insanity. But I try and do the best that I can with it. So yeah, that track got ganked, but it was still fun. Special shout out to my sister Jem out there for putting everything together this weekend. The Rockin' Oddities was an incredible weekend. It is a great concept. I'm really looking forward to what 2024 is going to pull. Met a bunch of really cool, interesting people, and some of them have already kind of become part of our circle. My sister Heather Salome, the vampire, which definitely helped me process some of the more squirrelier moments. And let me tell you, that girl's got real fucking energy, man. She is no joke, and she is not afraid to call certain things for what they are. She is unapologetic, but man, she is real. So, sister, I love you. I owe you one on that. Definitely appreciate you keeping my energy right. I also want to shout out another guy who did a really, really cool solid for my son, Sir Dork, a.k.a. Jared Middleton. Really cool toy photography artist, a lot of stuff that are, would be associated with, comic book characters, pop art, Star Wars, other things. And he gifted a really, really nice Mandalorian poster. And he and I were talking. He just got recently married to Sweetheart Harley. She's another really incredibly gifted artist. She's doing a lot of wild stuff, not just within the cosplay world, but within the fashion world. She's breaking down some of those boundaries in regards to not only perceptions, but opening the narrative to the communication that we desperately need. So we're going to have them on the show sometime in 2024. A lot of really great people. I want to especially shout out my brother, Doug McDonald, Art for Sickos. He really has some incredible stuff. And I got 2 shirts from him for the boys. Really beautiful pieces. He's also half of the Mick and Mac show. They performed with us October 7th over the House of Guitars. And he's thinking about bringing back the metal band. I definitely think being exposed to all the great bands this weekend triggered something in a bunch of us. I'm definitely itching to get back on stage. I need to make music. And I'm going to. It's just really a little bit of time. This is, by the way, Heather Salome, the Vampire Witch, sporting the Rockin' Oddities logo. And yes, she's just as terrifying in real life as she is in that picture. But hey, this is Halloween. These are the people that make Halloween special. I know her and her kids are doing their thing, so much love and shout out to you. You'll be seeing her through the witches and stuff, I am sure. Yes, as Shia says, Heather Salome is amazing. Much love. So, I want to talk about something else going on, and I'm going to scroll it down here because I'm pretty sure it's in. Yes. Extra special shout out to my sisters Diane and Ativia, a.k.a. Lillian, known as Emporium. Spent the weekend in our little Airbnb, and they were putting out all their magical creations, and they brought a bunch of stuff from a friend of ours, Danny, her A is for Autism book, and some of her other pieces and stuff. And we're trying to expand not only on the magic, but also the knowledge. People need to know, as my sister Jem would say, hashtag artists supporting artists. So we have to, via strength in numbers, build this. Nobody else is going to fucking do it. It was the same context analogy, how Jem built the Mind and Body Expo, how she's doing Rockin' Oddities. It's how my brother Tony Rodriguez started tattooing for autism, which is now Arts for Autism, the Under My Skin for Life Foundation. It is the framework for Rochester Free Radio with myself, Brian Judah, Ed Contini, Brian Maslin, and a bunch of others are doing. It's what Sue over at Mythic Treasures is building upon. So coming up, November 11th, it's going to be a really interesting day. Not only do we have Shia, Lily, and Nona doing their witchy magical stuff over at Mythic Treasures, and it's part of their fair that used to go on over at the Village Gate here in Rochester. That is now over at the new location over in Henrietta. But there's a show going on, okay? And I've seen these guys a couple times, and they are definitely worth saying. So if you're out in the Rochester area November 11th, come down to Mythic Treasures, hang out with Shia and the Witches, and it's the Mythical Gateways Fair at Mythic Treasures. Click the link and check them out. Mythic Treasures LLC. I don't know, does that come out? I don't know if that actually comes out as a link for me. I don't see a link, but I think Shia is trying to put a link out there. That's what witches do. It's Halloween. But yeah, you can check them out on Facebook and stuff. You can reach out to Shia. She can get you into. Now, this is a free event. Again, you can come down, hang out, engage. If you want to buy something great, again, these are all small business people. They're witches and mystics. Raunchy Ryan will probably be out there again. She's big in the community between the witchcraft and the goth scene. And there are a lot of really good people involved. But again, later that night over at Pineapple Jack's, Brian Judas' Day's End is going to be performing with Dragonfly. Pineapple Jack's is where the Slosh Fest earlier in the year was. It's a pretty cool little place, but definitely a great band with Day's End. I have it on good authority. They'll be playing some Deep Purple, so you know I'll fucking be there. A lot of other things that'll be going on. I'm going to have Hollowell on in a couple of weeks. They're going to talk about their upcoming show, stuff that they have with their new EP coming out. I'm going to get some other bands from the Rockin' Oddities to get on here and talk about what they were doing that I wasn't unfortunately able to squeeze in the time frame that we had. Spent a lot of time with a couple of them, and there were some really great people. I got to tell you, I was really impressed by such genuine heart, really just complete lack of ego. They were there to be a part of it. They love what they're fucking doing. And they had some really, really wild stories to share. I'm going to start it off tonight with one of those bands. Couple of guys by the name of Ally Rain. Really, really great live show. Really cool guys. Looking forward to seeing more stuff from them. So this is a little Halloween track of theirs called Broken Dreams. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about some more shit. Because we are dancing with wolves tonight.
master of my broken, lost control. It seems I am the master of my broken dreams. My broken dreams. Just give up, just give that, ballad, ballad, ballad again. Just give up, just give that, ballad, ballad, ballad again.
So yeah, that was a little bit of Alloy Rain. Broken Dreams. I got to tell you, I was hanging out with Jay, Paul, and Joe, which are the two guitar players, bass player from the band. And they shared some really, really groovy stories. They are very much about family, very much about community. And this scene, the hardcore scene, many times gets a bad rap. Everybody automatically assumes it's just, fucking chaos and anarchy. And it's not. It's reflective not only of their life journeys, but reflective of how they process, how they deal with the shit that's around them. And as a musician, I give them credit for being honest in that. And it reflects not only in their recorded music, but really, I got to tell you, fucking powerful live band, really good. It was funny because Joe was joking. He had said to me, after the show, he's like, oh yeah, I fucked up a couple of times. I'm like, dude, there's no way anybody would even realize that because you guys were so on point with the energy and everything like that. Who the fuck is to say you weren't supposed to play that? I am not one of those people that believes everything should be note for note. I thought the show was fucking great. I enjoyed it. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I didn't hear any fuck ups, man. I just really heard a bunch of guys loving their craft and bringing it all to a show. Saratoga Springs, man. So yeah, a lot of really good people, really, really wild dynamics, diversity. You had witches, you had massage snakes. Both Diane and Antivia did the snake massage thing. One of the snakes fell in love with Diane. Somehow she speaks to snakes. We're going to call you the snake whisperer now, mama. And it was just, so many different things. Some really, really cool tattoo artist. Sweetheart Harley did a really great job, running the costume stuff and, doing her magical energy thing. You had Heather doing her vampire stuff. You had brothers Dave Spinks and David Childers doing their paranormal thing. Sister Erica running around like a lunatic, keeping it all together, making sure everybody was getting what they needed. Let me tell you, that girl was all over the fucking place. Whole bunch of people I'm forgetting because I don't have everybody's names. It's just too much for me to process. I'm still going through some of the stuff. Really want to shout out Ralph Reyna, The Tradition, bunch of the guys from the 518 scene. They're doing some really cool stuff that I'm going to talk about specifically once I can kind of piece it all together and really give it its fair due, because I don't want to miss some of the aspects that really go with it. And there's so much to go with it. Shout out to my sister Monica. I have not heard of Suffocate the Skies, but if they are friends of yours, shoot me an email, wolf@oldwolfmusic, or have them reach out to me, and I would love to have them on the show. Otherwise, I have so much stuff going on, it's going to be impossible for me to keep track. But that's how I keep track of everything, is through that fucking email that Shia set up for me. So thank her for creating a framework for me to stay on top of all that stuff. As I was sitting outside waiting for the kids and stuff, one of the things that has become more and more apparent that a lot of the old narrative isn't there anymore. My email's right there on the screen, wolf@oldwolfmusic.com, sister. We don't push certain dynamics for obvious reasons. And listen, I don't begrudge people, especially in these times. You know, if you can't afford to buy candy for the kids, I get it. But I make it a point to get something for them. I believe in that magic. I remembered as a kid, my son as a kid went out there and trick-or-treated. And, you know, it's just something, you know, that I believe in. But one of the little boys that came up was nonverbal. You know what I mean? It was probably his first time coming out there, and he's bopping around and stuff. And I just, you know, I could feel the magic. You know, he was picking up on the energy. So I just let him, you know, pick out the candy that he wanted. And the smile that lit up on his face, man, it gives me hope. It cuts through all the gnarly shit where I'm like, fuck those humans. Heather knows what I'm talking about. And it's hard sometimes, let's be honest. You know what I mean? People's energy carries over. So all it takes is one person who's had a little bit too much to drink and has got some fucked up expectation or whatever type of ding-a-ling sping in their head, and they're gonna, you know, it's all like, all right, shut the fuck up. But we still have to contend with it. And it is one of those things sometimes I have to be cognizant of. I have the same issue with people who use dynamics of magic and witchcraft to kind of play the Sergeant Pompous part. Oh, look at me. Do you like my scarf? It was given to me by the higher powers above me because I'm special. Here, let me suck your energy. Shit like that shouldn't be done without fucking permission, first. And second, man, fucking check yourself. I'm not going to throw out any names. I'm not going to be that kind of wolf. Because most of it was fucking beautiful and magical. So yeah, you're always going to have a little bit of that, where the fuck did this come from? But I know that this is the numbers game, so inevitably, yeah, you're always going to have a little bit of that. Let me tell you again, speaking of kids, so many kids, and we're talking, you know, these were kids that were, you know, part of some of the bands. They were loving it, man. They were fucking rocking out with that stuff. They were digging the scene. And, you know, that to me is real magic. I saw different types of vendors interacting, laughing, dancing about. We had, you know, belly dancers and fucking really cool lemonade guy that just definitely kept me alive for a good part of the weekend. That shit was fucking golden. And then Shia says, "'Cause Heather Salome is a being of light. Ha 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 ha." Yeah, well, I'll let her come back after she does her little quest work to express her views and feelings about that. Ha ha, see? Speaking, she shall appear. Yes, I know she has some very distinct feelings on things, but I tell you what, she also took initiative, and it's really worth pointing out that it's easy to sit back and just watch shit go down sometimes. Sister wasn't having that, and she's like, fuck this, I'm gonna start a coup, I'm gonna jump on that stage, I'm gonna take that fucking microphone, and she did. She rallied it. She got a nice little circle of witches together, got that pulse going. And as she says, quote unquote, I'm a ray of fucking sunshine, damn it. If you mean sunshine like a solar filament that is somewhere around 12,000 degrees Kelvin that literally burns space and time as it rolls on through the universe, then yes, absolutely, you're a ray of fucking sunshine. But we need to define these kind of things because not everything is quite as it is. Yes, like a solar flare that fucks with satellites. Yeah, listen, that's being gentle about it. But I tell you what, I'll take that over that one-dimensional fucking hoo-ha bullshit any day of the week. And again, strength in numbers. This is how we build it. Piece by piece, person by person, moment by moment. Now, another band that I had the pleasure of meeting and hanging out with, I previewed their new video last week. This particular track really struck me because the first time I heard it live. And the singer talked about where this song came from. And it was so fucking relatable. It really just cut to the core about how we'll go out of our way. We'll do so much sometimes for the people around us. We'll give them chance after fucking chance after fucking chance until it finally reaches a point where you're just like, no longer can this be accepted. It is the lesser of two evils sometimes. Sometimes it's pure fucking frustration. My sister Heather's I think it sounds like that. Leveling up to ascension. But let me tell you, I really, really, really appreciate it when a band puts it out there for what it is to them. You know, because everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody's going to be like, hey, it means this, blah, 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 blah. But he was like, no, this is some deep shit from inside of me. It was personal. It was real. It obviously left a mark upon my brother. And he put it out there. And I'm really looking forward to having him come on the show at some point in 2024 to talk about not only this track, where this track was born, but obviously the other dynamics that frame their music, their journey, where they're going, where they've been. And I'm going to keep pushing this. You know, as everybody already knows, I dance in a lot of different circles. I believe there's more that we have in common than we don't. And music is that great universal buffer where you don't have to understand the lyrics. You don't even have to speak the fucking language to get the beat, to get the energy, to capture that, and to take it and use it, to apply it. It is, again, simply a better path. So, a little bit of altar of necks. This one's an interested little bit called Soulless Cowards, and then I will be fucking back.
When all said and done, understand that peace is gone. There's no right, there's no wrong. Something and back here. What I will die is
Yeah, a little altar of necks. I got to tell you, hearing that track for the first time performed live, let me tell you, Lou fucking brought it all. It was powerful. It was real. As Brother Paul says, great stuff right there. Paul, by the way, for those of you who are in the chat, one of the guitarists from Alloy Rain. Another really great guy. Brother, thank you for everything over the weekend. You and your brothers, man, definitely put on a hell of a show. All the bands put on a great show. I got to spend some time again with my brother Pete Palace from Annika. They performed Saturday. Then Pete came back again Sunday with his wife and kids to hang out and see the other stuff and hang around, and just so much. I'll be talking about this for a few going forward, but I'm looking forward to getting everybody back and doing more shows in 2024, because again, the shadow holds secrets, and I am always fucking listening. So I want to take a couple minutes, talk about something new, something I haven't done, but I am doing. For those of you playing the home version and can see the video, there's a little picture up there of a little place called Mary Jane's, okay? And anybody who's been following me knows that I've been pretty much doing this on my own now for a couple of years. Variety of reasons, obviously. It started that way because nobody knew who the fuck I was. So I was just like, hey, this is, I'll do my own thing. I can fucking rant and rave, protect my sanity, play my music, and play some fucking music from people that I know that aren't necessarily going to, be able to get any type of traction. And then came the radio show, and then everything else subsequently has just been kind of building upon that. But I have my first official and maybe only underwriter / sponsor / dear friend, my brother Bear over at Mary Jane's. They are over at 501 Bloomingdale Road in Passaic, New York, the Tonawanda Indian Reservation. They have opened up what I feel is probably the best herbal remedy shop, cannabis shop, whatever you want to call it, shop. Okay? He is taking it from the old school, and I'm talking the old school before anyone else was over here. Okay? And I'm not going to dance too deep into the rhetoric, but let me tell you something. A couple of simple fact truths. Despite everything that they've gone through, despite everything that has gone on for generations, okay, this man, my brother, is supporting me out here on the outside, whereas most of the fucking places out here wouldn't or couldn't be bothered with it. He's the one guy that can't take advantage of the nonprofit status of the radio station and everything like that. And he said, fuck it. I believe in what you're doing. I want to help keep the music and the magic and everything that goes with it out there. So he's helping me do that. So I can't tell you how blessed I am and how humbled I am that they're doing it. And, I believe in what they're doing, or else I wouldn't even put it out here. They have some of the most incredibly gifted people around them. It isn't just a business. It's a family dynamic for them. Medicine, yes. They make it a point to check everything that comes through and check it in ways that most places aren't doing. And they have the added luxury that, guess what? You're not going to pay all kinds of ridiculous fucking markup and fucking taxes and shit like that. So I always say, if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to change the narrative, use your dollars wisely. Put them back into local businesses. As my sister Jem said earlier, hashtag artists supporting artists. Okay? Get out there, Western New York, travel the little bit extra that maybe you have to go, Because believe me, it's going to save you money. It's going to save you a lot of fucking head spin. And you're going to be taken care of in a way that I think we all really want to be taken care of. So much love and support. Thank you again, Bear, and everybody at Mary Jane's. I see my brother, Papa John's, like, fuck yeah. And my mother obviously popped in. She's always great at that little timing thing. Sanity. Yes, sanity is relevant to the person, obviously. And it brings me back a little bit to a little bit of ranting time. Because I really got hit hard by that track. Soulless cowards. If you think about that narrative, we got a lot of motherfuckers out there that are some fucking soulless cowards, okay? And I could dance around the spectrum and give you all kinds of analogies, but I'm just going to give it to you in the old George Carlin school. None of the powers that be really give a shit about you and me or any of us. They talk a really good fucking talk, but most of it's bullshit. And that was the common theme that I kept hearing from person to person to person to person. These are all people making their own way, tattoo artists, witches, okay, lemonade vendors, event organizers, vampires, okay? All coming from this simple common dynamic of being real, being authentic. Is it perfect? Obviously not. But it's a hell of a lot more than a lot of other folks are doing. But soulless cowards really, really set something up in me because it's something that I think a lot of us deal with continually, especially if you fall into the framework as what I like to call a high-functioning empath. You're susceptible to other people's energies because you're constantly trying to do right by other people, and it's never enough, okay? It's never enough. And then there's moments, my sister Jem knows what I'm talking about, where you just, you know what I mean? And you just, and you hold it back and you still take the high ground because it's the right thing to do. Not because we want to per se, but because we have to lead by example. We have to set the stage, no pun intended. But we do have to talk about it. We have to put it out there, call out certain elements, behaviors, whatever it is in any particular moment. And we can, again, agree to disagree. But I made a point of it last night on my radio show, and I'll make a point of it again here. Certain things I will now continue to avoid, aka like politics, because I think it's all fucking bullshit. I think we have for too long allowed corporate interest and money to pollute the waters. That is all a bunch of bullshit distraction. We've got the technology and the resources to do all kinds of fucking shit, but we don't do it because there's no fucking profit in it. We treat symptoms. Why? Because there's more money in it than curing people. We leave people divided and vulnerable because guess what? It keeps them distracted from the other things. It's all a bunch of puppets. Thank you, brother. And again, that's not to say that there aren't people out there trying to do right. Okay? There are. But we, as a group, need to call it out. We cannot live in fear. Now, again, obviously, there are certain lines of things that we have to maintain. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to throw out some support for some people that are taking some fucking heat out there. As everybody knows in the world around us, on this Day of the Dead, we're heading into the traditional Day of the Dead, that we got way too much fucking brutality going on, okay? I don't give a fuck what the bullshit excuse rhetoric that's getting spun. When you're fucking bombing people and killing people, there's something wrong. And I'm calling it out on all ends of the spectrum, okay? Extremism is bullshit, okay? And one element does not justify the next. I get it. I understand people are angry, people are hurt, People are afraid. But man, we can do fucking better. Now, brother man Dave Chappelle took a little bit more heat because he started talking about the Israeli-Palestinian thing. And, he threw some truths out there. Okay? A lot of the dynamics that are going on, a.k.a. these fundamentalists, do not reflect nor represent the Palestinian people. Just as these crazed fucking sickos that go into a bowling alley and blow away a bunch of fucking children, or any of these other examples of horror, necessarily reflect the dynamics just because maybe they identified as a Republican, or maybe they identified as a Christian, or maybe they identified as this, doesn't mean that all of said people are like that. And this fucking analogy that we keep getting shoved down our throats, that it somehow justifies the brutality. And this goes for the people, in Ukraine and wherever else this shit may or may not be going down. And as my mother says, and very wisely says, war is unhealthy for children and other living things. Give peace a chance. Thank you, Ma. See, this is where I got it. I believe in it. Now, does that mean that, if somebody comes walking into your home and is going to try and fuck your dog and kill your children and, again, any number of ungodly things, you know what? In that moment, in that context, it's something different. Okay? But we can do fucking better. And to try and shut people down and just basically accuse them of, horrible things like anti-Semitism or this or that, simply because they express a viewpoint and they call out. And again, so much of this gets taken out of context. None of these people are saying that what was done to start this latest round of insanity was right. Was it good? No. Okay. It's fucking bullshit too. Okay. Any framework that uses that type of violence as its fucking messenger is flawed. Okay? It's flawed. My humble context simply is this. Maybe, just maybe, if we allowed people a little bit of dignity, a little bit of fucking hope, and just a basic amount of respect, and said, you know what? Let's just find a way to allow people to live, just maybe would get a little bit better. Is it going to make it go away? Obviously not. This fucking element of things, especially out in the Middle East, has been going on for thousands of years. This is the fucking Crusades continued. The Crusades never fucking ended. Okay? So if you're going to look at it historically, if you're going to look at it honestly, this has been going on for fucking thousands of years. Okay? And it is a very common repeating theme. Okay, you have one group oppressing another group, justifying it behind some fucking spin job of their God's got a bigger dick than your God, or whatever, stupidity happens to be, the theme song of the day. But also in the narrative, and I'll go back to my brother Bear, him and his family and his ancestors and stuff, they were here in our country first. Okay? Our ancestors, my ancestors, came over here and basically said, hey, fuck you, we got bigger guns, and we're going to take it. And we're going to call it the United States of America, and we're going to have a fucking tea party, and we're going to set all this shit up, and we're going to jump around. Look how great we are. Freedom, democracy, all these beautiful things. Meanwhile, the Native Americans are standing around like, what the fuck is this shit? We were here before you. What did you bring? Death, disease, pain. But that's inconvenient. We don't want to have that particular fucking conversation. You got fucking shit going on out in the fucking Eastern European blocks. Basically, hey, we're going to use a map from 150 years ago and say, I want this back. And it's the same shit in the Middle East. It's the same shit in China. It's the same shit here. It was the same shit in South Africa. Guess what? This shit is the same everywhere you go. So George Carlin was right. It's all a big ball of shit. Yes. My mother's like, yes, white men will send you blankets with smallpox and smile. That's our fucking history. Just like our history is also, let's be honest, there's a section that included slavery. You know what I mean? We would take people and basically trade them as a commodity. We would abuse them, rape them, strip them of their culture, and then act surprised when they don't respond happily. I wonder where that came from. Now listen, I'm not saying it's an excuse to justify burning fucking cities. I'm not saying it's an excuse to do any number of horrible things, but we have to have the honest conversations. As my sister Oracles wisely says, if we avoid every uncomfortable conversation, we will never find the words to have those conversations. Amen, sister. Now, sometimes those conversations have a different flavor to them. And one of the things I'm going to segue into is I'm going to be premiering a new track from Phantom High. My sister Peril really put together a wild video. I think it's only appropriate to play it here on Halloween, but it also reflects of the song and the dynamic of sexuality, how sexuality just fucking makes people crazy, warps everything out. And we're not having those honest conversations. You know what I mean? We're pointing the finger saying, ooh, you know what I mean? When it's just like, hey, don't fucking look, okay? It's not just about you. People have feelings. People have thoughts. And they express them in different ways. And sometimes those ways are sexual. Now, again, I'm not saying, hey, let's, go in there and have that conversation with a 5-year-old. But the rest of us adults, and especially those of us who are parents, have a right to say, hey, these are our boundary lines. But in the same analogy, if we avoid these things, if we pretend like they're not there, guess what? That's when the monsters really are created. We put that energy in there. We pretend these dynamics. We marginalize people. We take away their right, their magic. Over what? Over, some, again, convoluted spin that maybe is really reflective of our own insecurities, our own fears. I played the Rocky Horror Picture Show soundtrack last night, and one of the themes that Richard O'Brien had wrote into the original stage production was this little take on the fear variable, which is why it was framed in a pseudo-horror dynamic. But sexuality scares the fuck out of people, okay? They look at somebody like Peril, and all of a sudden, especially within men, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, somehow it's going to make them gay or something. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Okay? Me personally, guess what? Whatever you do that makes you feel good, as long as it's not crossing that particular line, and, again, give you an example. As long as you're not trying to fuck my little sister Adriana's goats, we're good. As long as you're not trying to fuck little children or something without consent, what adults do is what they do, again, as long as it's, again, agreed on in an open and honest framework. Now, again, that doesn't mean we want to pump it into our schools and stuff like that, but we have to get around. This is just another one of the many examples of how stupid shit divides us. So I give Peril a lot of fucking credit for not only writing this track, which really reflects on, the very same people who are pointing the finger, screaming, and yah, are the first one in the shadows that want to fuck her. Okay? And how ironic is that, that in one side of your face, and it goes back to the soulless cowlers, what piece of shit cocksucker do you have to be that in one breath, you'll go out there and you'll point the finger and you'll degrade and, oh, these are bad people. There are horrors. They're menaces upon our society. They are blights upon the name of God our Lord. And then on Tuesday afternoons in the shadows, they're the first one on their fucking knees looking to suck the dick. Okay? I'm saying it, I'm calling the fuck out. Now, that isn't to say that there is a place, again, what you believe is what you believe. You don't have to like it. You don't have to sign on to it. But in the same analogy, I think most men would not appreciate it if somebody else were to come in and say, hey, we're gonna tell you what to do with your dick and balls now. Okay? And we're going to turn you into the same monsters that have been reflected upon different alternate lifestyle choices or upon women in general. Okay? No means fucking no. But listen, there was a great South Park episode where they were trying to get a couple people to come out of the closet. Listen, if that's where you're at, you shouldn't have to be afraid, okay? You shouldn't have to live in the goddamn shadows. Embrace who you are. Embrace the love. Embrace the sexuality. If that's what works for you, don't let somebody else define what it is. And it doesn't matter if it's in the framework of storytelling, or if it's in the framework of role-playing, or if it's the framework of magic, or if it's in the framework of music. These are just different forms of energy. These are just different forms of expression. So I'm going to kick it, as I said to Oracles. I'm going to put the disclaimer out that if you're easily triggered, this video will probably fucking trigger you. But you know what? Maybe we need to be triggered. Maybe we need to take a look at the other side of things. And I think Parallel really did a beautiful job with this. So sit back, enjoy the world premiere of Phantom High's The Exorcist, and then I'll be back.
Get strong.
You want to talk about a powerful track. Yes, incredibly powerful track. And, again, it is not easy sometimes, especially with the way the waves have been flowing out around us, to come out like that and call it out for what it is in her own way. But the visuals, again, first thing, obviously, you got the upside down. You know what? That's just reflective of a bunch of the religious, dogmatic stereotypes. The name of the track, obviously, is The Exorcist. So some of this is the visual framework. She's taking a play on the Linda Blair element in the bed. But if you listen to her words, if you listen to where she's going, it's so much more deeper, okay? It is so much more beyond the base element. And, obviously certain things are triggers. We're afraid of language. When we talk about it in that simple but raw framework, it's something that, most people are not used to. But I submit, I think we need more of it. Again, take what you need, leave the rest behind. It's not meant to be anything more than a reflection of something else, of someone else within our world. And again, I believe, and I will continue to fight for the dynamic, that we all have more in common than not. We need to find our way back, because guess what? Again, the shadow holds secrets, and I always listen. And I'm going to keep going back to that, because I am fucking Jack in more ways than one. I float through different realities, if you will. And some of that is tongue-in-cheek, but some of that is quite literal. In some situations, I am the wolf. In some situations, I am Jack. And I am Jack screaming disdain and just absolute, But sometimes I'm dad. Sometimes I'm son. Sometimes I'm brother man, like with my brothers, Brian Judah and Ed Contini. And then sometimes it's something else. We all wear masks. And Peril's analogy with the mask that she wears is quite literal. The masks that we wear are just that sometimes. They're fucking masks. They are, as my sister Diana said, in most situations I slay, said the Assassin Queen. Yes, that's a mask for my sister Diana. Because she is the Assassin Queen, but she's also a woman, she's a mother, she's a sister. There are a lot of things about a lot of us that are not always in play, and dare I say sometimes that we don't always just feel comfortable putting out there. Now, again, I am not suggesting everybody just whip it out and just let your sexuality, you're probably going to run into some problems if you do that. Especially guys, keep your dicks in your pants, man. This is not an open casting call. Trust me, you don't want to do it. Okay, the wheel is definitely not on your side right now. And again, that's not to blame everybody. It's not necessarily to point the finger. I've talked about this a lot. I'll always continue to talk about it. Men are conditioned. Okay, children are not born this way. Young men are taught certain dynamics, as the Assassin Queen has rightfully said. And don't grab pussies, because you never know when you're going to run into an Assassin Queen or a witch or a vampire. Let me tell you something. They will fuck you up. Pure, simple. As my mother said, you'll get fucking burnt fast. You don't want to do it. And this fucking macho bravado shit, well, I'll just get, no. Okay, you're more of a fucking coward by going that route. If you can't stand your ground on principle, then just shut the fuck up or walk away. All right? Because I tell you, it all comes back. Okay? A lot of people, and this goes for women as well, too. soulless coward analogy. If you think that somehow, you're getting away with it, you're skating on by, nobody notices, guess what? The universe sees it all, and you're investing a dynamic, an energy, if you will, that just because it doesn't come around in the moment doesn't mean that it ain't hanging in the breeze. I'll go back to my favorite analogy, radiation. You're just piling up some nuclear fucking waste. So just because your hair doesn't fall out on Tuesday doesn't mean you're fucking going to walk away, okay? Because you're not. It's going to come back. It's going to get you at some point. And here's the real shitty truth. The more of it that you layer out, the more of it that you shovel out there, the worse it's going to fucking be, man. I've seen it, and ironically enough, I didn't understand it when I was younger. My mother gets it. Those of you who have danced a few laps around this game of life are picking up on it. What we put in is what we get out. Okay? So if you're just going to pump a bunch of fucking ugly, nasty, bullshit, fucking soulless crap, you're going to get fucked badly. And it's not going to be fun. You're not going to enjoy it. But it's there, okay? This is the beauty of free will. You can change, okay? You can, if you make the conscious choice. Will it be easy? No, not necessarily. But you don't have to do it by yourself. The only thing that's really required, and, not to make a joke or a spin on it, is humility, is honesty. There are no magical fucking instant solutions except that, and as my sister Heather and I were talking about the weekend, the beautiful thing about being real is you never have to worry about backing up. You don't ever have to go back and figure out what bullshit story you may or may not have floated at said point in time. You won't have to worry about, should you be in a particular persona in the moment. You don't have to worry about looking stupid because you did, or said some stupid shit, or you promised some stupid shit and you knew you couldn't fucking deliver on it, but you fucking said it anyway because it was cool in the moment. But now it's come back to bite your ass, and nobody wants to be your fucking friend because guess what? Most people don't like bullshit. And once they recognize that something is bullshit, well, it's the same analogy as when Ed's dog Daisy takes a big steaming shit on the fucking rug. It's going to get cleaned up, and it's going out the door. It's going to be disposed, to be forgotten, because nobody wants shit around them. Now, we all got to check ourselves. We all have a part to play. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay. I'm still struggling. And I will continue to struggle because some of these things are hard to change, especially if you've been doing them for a long time. But we have to adapt sometimes. Sometimes we have to let go of unrealistic expectations. Again, it doesn't mean that you're bad, but sometimes the truth is the truth. You can't change a thing if you don't know what that thing is. And sometimes our perspective is not good. Let's be blunt. Sometimes our perspective is completely fucked up. And that's where the whole strength and numbers, strength and numbers analogy. You see how that goes?
Emotional damage.
It's very real. Okay. So when you can find ways to dance through the bumps in life, be it in a live broadcast or be it in a moment where somebody had said something stupid or done something stupid, or again, so many layers of humanity, you know what? It gets a little bit better. And when you invest in it, especially when you invest in other people, I always like to use the analogy of a garden. You don't have to now deal with certain elements of things, but more importantly, what grows in that garden now can feed others, can be expanded upon. It's a thing of beauty. We live off of this stuff. There are many, many, many rants that I can go on, and there are going to be many rants that I'm going to continue to go on as I continue with the podcast. I'm looking at different aspects of things now in taking this to different levels, going deeper into some of the rabbit holes, but obviously continuing to and will expand upon the musical elements to work with people like my sister Jem, be it a rock and oddities or a mind, body, soul, or my brother Tattoo Tony Rodriguez and something within the framework of autism, or with my brothers Brian and Ed and something with WRFZ, or with my witch and Lily and Nona and Oracles and Heather and Diana and all these other really cool people, or if it's, doing more music with my brother Jonathan, or any number of analogies, or just simply, hey, going back down to Jersey and hanging out with my mom, drinking some coffee and listening to some cool stories about some shit that I never fucking heard before. And let me tell you, my mom she's always got some interesting tidbits she'll just pull out of the memory warehouse, and she'll be like, hey, let me tell you a story about this. Really, really wild stuff. I've been blessed to have her on this podcast. I'll have her back again. I'm going to keep pushing the point. Friendly reminder, your podcast would be a really great idea. And she was thinking about creating a specific focused aspect for women, especially within the framework of domestic abuse, because it is something that is incredibly devastating and is something that, again, we do not talk about enough. We do not put the resources or the effort towards. And part of that is, again, talking about it, calling that stuff out there. But strength in numbers, again, we have to find ways to take care of each other and show people that there are other paths. Coincidentally, it is something that Sweetheart Harley is working on within her fashion stuff. She wants to, within her nonprofit, which is, again, specifically focused on domestic abuse awareness, and I'm going to get her on the show to talk about that and some of her initiatives. She's got some really cool ideas, and I won't spoil it, but I think it's a really, really beautiful thing that she's trying to do, and she's trying to break some of the boundaries and walls within the dynamics of fashion and cosplay. And just, let's be really honest, and again, within sexuality and how it's perceived and how it is translated and how it is weaponized, because that, again, is the truth. And that truth now is more important than all of the bullshit. So I'm going to cut real quick to a track. And this one now goes back. It's got a 1-year anniversary on it. It was something that was started for a friend of ours, my brother DJ, down there in Texas. His mom, Stephanie, has been somebody that's been within Shia's circle, then became part of my circle. And last year when we went to Texas, we spent time with her and her family. Incredibly beautiful people. But the track was really, again, a little bit of a harder, darker track, but again, a hopeful track in the reflection. It takes the context, again, how we separate ourselves. The track, Just Like Me, Let Me Out, Let Me In, is a struggle that we all go through, not only finding in ourselves, but how that version of ourselves actually now works with the people and everything around us. Many times, and I mentioned masks, we'll wear masks to hide ourselves. We don't use it in a defensive element per se, but many times it's because we don't really know. And many times that can lead now to other elements. It causes us to disconnect. It can lead to anger. It can lead to despair, depression, and all kinds of other fucked up shit. And many times this gets swept under the rug, especially in a dynamic when people are ostracized or bullied, manipulated, or just simply ignored or dismissed. We don't take the time to understand. And my brother's a really, really cool guy. He's got a beautiful soul. So when we wrote the song, Matt and I kind of talked back and forth, between the words and the concept to really create that dynamic of connection, that we get it. I understand it. We understand where he's coming from. And really, more importantly, to say, hey, guess what? You're not alone. You're just like me. I'm just like you. Okay? You're not fucking crazy. Okay? You're just going through some shit. And sometimes that shit's not your fault. Sometimes that shit is reflective of other people's shit. Sometimes it's reflective of soulless cowards that just simply, for whatever reason, are the way they are. And, you know, coincidentally, they probably were conditioned and had some horrible shit. So you can see there's this fucking ever-continuing perpetuity of continuing this shit. So it has to be broken. And again, the only way, and George Carlin, again, really, I think, put it beautifully, we have to stop fucking worrying about the stupid shit. We have to have these honest conversations. We need to get our heads out of our fucking asses. We need to pay attention to what people are feeling. Now, again, he would make some joke, you know, and be like, fuck your feelings. But it was his comedic satire, comedy approach to show it for what it was. He actually cared very much in these elements, and he used his comedy to make people think, to question the elements of things around him. And sometimes, you know, they were edgy. They were off the wall. I remember the first time, you know, he made a running joke, and he got pissed off. And I think he legitimately believed it. He was just basically saying, hey, white folks have no right to sing the blues. He was basically telling white people to fuck off. You're not allowed to touch the blues. We don't have a framework of blues to understand it. And he was kind of calling out, I guess, you know, to some degree, it was an earlier form of cultural appropriation. But I love the dynamic of how, you know, he put it in that element. And what he was really reflecting was upon the rock and roll scene, that how a lot of elements of music from back in the day was basically ripped off from communities of color and then repackaged and repurposed and sold off and then presented like, oh, look at us. We brought rock and roll. Nah, you fucking didn't. That's another one that's a, you know, a piece of shit. You know, rock and roll was born out of gospel. It was born out of the African-American communities of Chicago, Harlem. Okay. That's the simple truth. That's where it came from. And again, podcast ran for another day. But this is a little track that myself, Matt Brown, Tony Rodriguez, Jet Thal did called Just Like Me. And then we'll be back.
I gotta find
I got to say, this track for me especially was one of those moments, and we just sometimes refer to that within our circles as lightning in a bottle. That track literally was just a kind of disconnect moment. I started it from a backwards element. All of the heavy guitar work really initially was the core. One track run, it just came out of somewhere, and then everything else framed out around that. And it was something of a piece of experimentation, because I have been now over several years really working on channeling elements within me into original music, not just in my guitar playing when I get on stage and I'm playing something, but in really just writing fucking music. So I go through these moments, and before I didn't really have a way to capture them. I caught little pieces of them. Birds in the Field, was a little acoustic piece that I did in Chris Miller's backyard at the fucking crack of dawn in a bout of insomnia. But it wasn't actually what went into the finished produced track. It was the framework, but it wasn't the end of it. That track, though, and again, I thought about it, and periodically it still jumps in my head, because most artists will relate to, I look at it and I think, hey, there's so many ways I could do this better, I could do that better, and I'll spin and I'll run with it. But when I did it, and the reasons that I chose in the end not to, because it was authentic. It was in the moment. Okay. It was the manifestation. It was the energy that I was focused on in doing this. I wanted something again that was hard driven, but was going to represent that dynamic, the struggle of connection, to give it a form. And this is what I've done with a lot of these tracks, and what I'm continuing to do. Not only are they collaborative with, different people, but they're reflective of people, their stories, their feelings, how that may or may not play. My new one, Eight of Swords, obviously, and I've shared this framework of someone that I know in Lithuania, the Fire Witch arena, and her struggle and her swords that she carries because of the shit that she's gone through, the betrayals that she's endured, but yet she's still fighting, trying to find a way. And we as empaths many times, and again, goes back to what I was saying earlier, we pick up on the energy of people. And when we allow people to get close enough, sometimes that energy is fucking powerful. And a song was born out of it. And, my son helped with the words. Matt Brown does the vocals again. Tony Rodriguez on bass. But now I have other people coming into the mix, like my brother Ed Contini. He's got a really powerful song that we're working on. I have another one that I'm working with Greg Carr-Schumann, who came up and sung with Pocketful of Wolves and has done both Pocketful of Wolves shows, the Arts for Autism show last year, and most recently the October 7th show at House of Guitars. Greg and I have known each other for almost fucking 30 years, part of the same circle that Chris Miller and others are part of. So these are old magics that go go very fucking deep. And I love him. You know, I love him and I love his family. So I'll keep taking those opportunities wherever they may present themselves, and looking forward to working with other people, you know, Josh and Raven from Bonded by Darkness, Teresa from Hollowell, Ayla Huff, my brother Brian Judah. I got my brother Mark Tulin, fucking incredible drummer. We got Jane Evil, theoretically, coming into the mix. A few other people who have mentioned, say, hey, listen, I'd like to do a collaborative track. Anybody out there who's listening, yeah, you know, if you ever want the Wolf to jump in and just put some weird fucking guitar work on the back end of things. I am what is known as a freeform player. So basically, as long as I know what fucking key you're in, yeah, I can put some shit to it. Now again, I just love doing it. I'm by default have always been an energy person. You know, it's something, you know, started with my mother, did it at a young age, and it's never left. I'm grateful for it, but it does require constant maintenance. So these are the things I will keep doing. So I'm going to cut out to another track that I thought was really appropriate for tonight. It's another one of the bands that I've been pushing pretty heavy because I think they're a powerful band and they're a band that deserves recognition. I'm hoping to get them up here in 2024 to do a show. I have played them before, but I have not played this track. So this is something a little bit different, but still powerful. Again, those of you who know me know this band, Frail, hashtag Witch Doom. And this is a little track of theirs called Darker Than Black. And then I'll be back.
Take an axe and split their head, laugh at them because now they're dead.
So yeah, no joke. That was Frail live, recorded by Lay Bear Recordings in conjunction with Aqualam. Now again, I've talked about this before, and we were talking about it over the weekend between a bunch of the different bands. It's one thing to go into a studio, okay? It takes work, takes some talent, don't get me wrong, but you have sometimes unlimited choices and options and attempts to nail down a particular aspect, a sound, if you will, whatever it is. And then you can take all the great groovy fucking gadgetry and auto-tune and detune and flanger compress noise gate your way into any combinations of sounds. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. You look at Sgt. Pepper, you look at Dark Side of the Moon, so many fucking albums throughout the years, you know what I mean, that are incredible, layered masterpieces. But my sister Teresa Bidwell from Hollowell knows, playing fucking live, though, is a whole nother ballgame. The Beatles stopped doing it because, A, they couldn't hear themselves, but the shit they were doing, they couldn't do it live. And that's what they wanted to do. They didn't want to be a live band anymore. So when you have bands like Frail, Hollowell, okay, Alloy Rain, Altar of Necks, Days End, and even A Pocket Full of Wolves, we go out there to perform live. Okay? And when you can pull off a song like Frail's Darker Than Black like that in a live setting, that really, at least in my opinion, defines what a really good band is. Okay, so a lot of love, a lot of respect to them. I was talking with Gwen a week or so ago about getting them on the show and getting them up here to do a show. These are all on my 2024 list. Couple weeks, Teresa's going to join me. We're going to talk about what she and Hollowell got going. She's also got a solo show coming up here in Rochester, New York, that we'll talk about. Maybe there'll be a premiere of one of those new tracks. I have a couple of them. I'm not sure. Something else might sneak out between now and then. I'm not saying, you know, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But, you know, if not, I have other things we can play. Just saying. See, I'm the consummate guy, you know what I mean? When I like a band, I'm fucking greedy, okay? I'm not going to lie. I'm the same way with a book. Once I get into a book, if you've got me engaged, I'm going to sit there for fucking hours, you know what I mean? I'm going to go into full-on insomniac mode. I'm going to devour that fucking thing. So when I like the sound, when I like the people, when I like the music, I want to hear more. Same way with Bonded by Darkness. But, you know, I'm also the same way with myself. I have been, again, fighting my own insanity in trying to balance all the things going on and actually fucking create music, let alone, you know, get it together to the degree to get out there and get back on stage. You know what I mean? And I think if this weekend showed me anything, was that no matter how hard I try to avoid it, that shit calls me, man. I feel like fucking Pookie. That shit be calling me, man. I need to do it. I have to. There's something about it. Call it ritual, call it whatever the fuck you want. But it is something that has been a part of my life for too long, and I don't think that I can remove it. Despite all the other dingling batshit fucktard fucking insanity that goes with it. And everybody knows, you know, anybody who's ever played in a band knows what I'm talking about. There are great people, and then they're not. You know what I mean? And the great people you want to keep around, and you'll always find ways, you know, to be engaged. You know, my brother Tony Rodriguez, you know, we're not in the band anymore, but it doesn't mean I love him any less. I love him more. He's part of my family. We still work on collaborative stuff, but, you know, I live here in upstate New York, and he's down in Jersey. It's not practical. It's the same thing with my buddy Greg. You know, that part of my life, unfortunately, is the past. I will still love them. I will still do whatever I can within the framework of what I can, and I love to be engaged with them. but the show must go on. So, we have to be open to working new things. We can't always hang in the past, no matter, as much as we want to. Sometimes we have to reinvent ourselves, and sometimes we have to, deal with our own expectations, So these are all things that I have to kind of juggle in the mix, the decision-making process. In many ways, especially the stuff with autism is a huge calling. I believe in music therapy. I think it's a powerful tool for dealing with children, regardless of to what degree they are, classified in the spectrum. I'm a firm believer that we are judged by our actions. The fucking talking parrot scenario. Words don't mean shit without the actions to back them up. So these are things that I'm passionate about. But like all other high-functioning empaths, great at helping other people, not so good at helping ourselves. Can we eat them now? No, we cannot. But sometimes we can have fantasy. Now that's a play on words for some, and a dream to some, a nightmare to others. If you know what that's from. But in this Halloween and the spirit of magic, the little things, I made sure that I had candy put to the side for the boys because they're too old. And I think they're, to some degrees conditioned in a dynamic. As much as they would love to go out there, throw a costume on and go get a bag of candy, they can't. Would look weird. Somebody might call the cops. We live in a world now where things are spun in the moment on a perception. So, obviously, all right, So I made sure there's a bag of candy for them. They don't got to fucking go schlep around or do any of that shit. Okay? And they can enjoy it to their heart's content. They can take some in for the rest of the guys working third shift tonight, doing their thing. Listen to some music, eat some fucking candy. This is Halloween. Not everything, again, is so difficult, and again, it's not to begrudge those, because there are plenty of people out there for whatever reason. Maybe they can't afford it, maybe they just work fucking, 10 hours in the salt mine. Maybe you got a migraine. Listen, maybe you just don't like kids. I don't know. Again, I think the art of survival right now is going to require certain levels of compromise. So, okay, we can't all get on the same page, but I do believe that those of us that can, and I saw it. I saw some really cool house displays out in Saratoga Springs. I saw some really good classic old school, kind of like John Carpenter's Halloween type communities with, all of the Halloween spirit. But when I was a kid, my mother will testify to this, Mischief Night was really, man, we would run through our fucking neighborhood. We would toilet paper the shit out of everything. There'd be eggs and shaving cream, and by today's standards, that's probably considered an insurrection. You know what I mean? It's fucking insane. But, we were kids, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of the adults fucking encouraged it. Okay? Because they had done it as kids. That this was just something that had gone on. It reflected to some degrees rebellion. Some of it was stupidity. Some of it, I guess, was just born in cheap decorations of just throwing toilet paper rolls across trees and people's cars and stuff. And don't get me wrong, it was never anything, malicious to the intent where, we were fucking stealing people's cars per se or anything like that. But sometimes, you got some eggs, and I guess, we didn't know, we were fucking stupid. Maybe that might fuck up your paint job, so maybe you were pissed off. So I'm sorry if I fucked up your paint job. It was not my intent. I was a small, stupid child, encouraged by an alcoholic father who was like, go out there, son, be a man, throw eggs at things, strew toilet paper for all to see. Declare your masculinity in the rage that is youth on this here mischief night. So it went down something like that. Not verbatim and probably not in that cool Doc Holliday accent. But those of you who know me know sometimes them characters slip out. It's all part of my insanity. Part of why I do this fucking show. But it's also part of why I do music, and it's part of why, to some degrees, and I heard a lot of this, I'm able to translate things. I'm able to help people. It is my truest desire to, if at any given moment I can make a difference, I want to make that difference. Makes me feel good. It gives me purpose. It restores my faith. My mother says, we used to steal crates of eggs from the chicken farm. See, there it is. My mother fucking did it. Okay? This is a case where I can play that card, and this is me playing the card. It's my mother's fault. But I'm proud of that shit. Now, again, my son didn't really do that stuff. I'm not going to lie. By the time we got around to his age of stuff, I was more afraid that they would get shot by some crazy motherfucker who just simply did not understand the spirit of what it is. And I will say that in full disclaimer today, I do not encourage kids to go out and do that. We live in a world right now that fucking crazy white guys will fucking shoot you for turning around your car in their driveway. But also in the same narrative, we got Kia boys stealing your fucking new Kia out of the radio station parking lot in broad daylight. So this narrative, again, that certain things now are taken out of context is absolutely true. We've lost some of the magic. We've lost some of the innocence. Again, we can agree to disagree on certain things. I'm sure the farmers hated it when we fucking rode dirt bikes through their fucking fields just as much as I hate it when, they go zipping down the street. And, listen, perspective. I've said this before. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make as we get older is we forget what it was like to be young, to be stupid. It's hard to sometimes hold that in perspective when now on the other side, it's like, oh, that's fucked up. But context being what it is, the Contini context ever applies. It's ever changing, but it's ever present. So you have to look at things in the moment. I love having these conversations. I love doing this. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. I'm going to close it out tonight with the new one, Eight of Swords, for the Fire Witch of Lithuania. She's out there listening, doing her dance. I want to thank my sister Jem. I want to thank Shia, Lativia, and Diane. I want to thank Heather and Oracles, all the boys between the bands, everybody that was there, everybody who wanted to be there. It's going to happen again. We're going to find ways. I want a special thanks again, my sister Jessica, her daughter Adriana, for coming out here and spending some time. Everybody else out there, my mother, yes, wise ass. It's your fault. I mean, again, this is a never-ending circle right now. For all intents and purposes, it is a infinite loop. Okay, it is the Mobius continuum. It is the obsidian pyramid. Whole bunch of names we can put on it, but in the end, you are the tree and I am the apple. Just as in, I get this too. So listen, here for your viewing pleasure, I get the same fucking thing when it comes to Will. My son, and he's definitely got my mother's sarcasm and bite. You know what I mean? And I constantly get I'm the tree and he's the fucking apple. So this is the generational cycle. It's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I use the comedy again, sometimes to put it into context, but there is no There is no negative framework. Now, conversely, the earlier skit about the drunken father is completely based out of horror and all kinds of ugly shit. So I got no issue pointing the finger at that steaming pile and being like, that's not a part of. It is only reflective of some of the lessons and experiences that I had to go through to get to where I am. But I'm still going to call that shit out for what it is. It doesn't get a pass, or as we are known to say, I forgive, but I sure as fuck have not forgotten, nor will I forget, because the shadow holds secrets, and I always listen. So until next time, enjoy a little bit of the Eight of Swords, and I'll be back again. Shy will be on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing her Dancing with Witches. Don't want to forget that. She's going to be channeling some powerful stuff. She'll be doing some things through the rest of the week, and then I'll be back Monday night for another run at the WRFZ show. But yeah, I'll post some shit out. I got to sort out through my brain and my soul from this whole experience. I love you all. Thank you again. Until next time.